Hey, this is Mike Swanson. I run the website wallstreetwindow.com, and I'm also the author of this book you can find on Amazon titled The War State. And today I want to talk about a topic in the news related to it and what it means for so-called independent media that has taken the internet by storm over the past couple years. So let me show you some of the news headlines that got my attention about this. And it has to do with news reporting at the Pentagon and how some so-called independent media outlets are now in the front position of reporting there. So a couple weeks ago, uh, the Defense Department, headed by Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, set out some new rules for reporters. They basically wanted to restrict their access to what they'd been allowed to access since the 1940s, and no longer get files unless they're given to them, and try to control what they're saying, almost to essentially, what's the word for it? Pre approve it, basically, to know what they're going to say before they say it. Now, as a result of this, a lot of media outlets simply refuse to sign on to these new policies. And as a result, they no longer have access to the Pentagon. They're no longer able to go to those press briefings and ask questions and so forth. Now, this goes from news outlets since news on the right, such as Newsmax, Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, but across the board, CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, on and on and on. The so-called mainstream media, if you want to call it that. This is a statement that the Washington Post put out, arguing that the new access policy is in effect an undercut of First Amendment protections by putting what they call are unnecessary constraints on gathering and publishing information. In fact, I've seen statements that one outlet put out said that these new policies effectively criminalize doing real journalism if you sign on to it, and they just refuse to do it. What does this mean? Well, one thing that has happened is that a whole new group of people have taken the place of these mainstream, or call them legacy outlets, the so-called independent conservatives, not Fox News, not people like Newsmax. Here they are: the Gateway Pundit, the National Pulse, Human Events. Podcasters such as Tim Pool are now going to be the main reporters for the Pentagon. The Just News website, Turning Point USA's Frontlines, and the MyPillow CEO's Mike Lindo's outlet. Gone Associated Press, gone Reuters, and so forth. Basically, which Reuters and Associated Press, they basically, are what newspapers across the country republish. So according to the Pentagon, this is a great victory. According to Pentagon spokesman Sean Purnell, which he posted on X, these are independent journalists, and they are now going to circumvent the lies of the mainstream media and get real news directly to the American people. Again, this is not going to be real journalism. This is going to be the messages the Pentagon wants to give these people, and then they repeat them. And this is going to be called real news directly to the American people. So I see this as two things. One, we're not going to get as good information about the national security state and the Pentagon with these rules, because these new people at the front of access are not going to be able to do the type of journalism that had been done in the past with these new rules anyway. Now they're willing to accept these new conditions. None of them, frankly, do real hard journalistic work about national security issues or the Pentagon anyway, but now they're going to be given more influence on the internet with this access, which is their real game. That is the game of these people, such as, I'll just throw out Tim Pool as one. Now, what I think, to sum this up, make it very simple, is that they are changing the form of news content that's going to come out of these press conferences and from the Pentagon itself. The type of reporting isn't going to be as good. It's not going to be as journalistic. And in fact, it's going to be essentially state propaganda. And that's a funny thing, because these so-called independent journalists or independent, commentators, such as Tim Pool and these others that I listed, they have been at the forefront of so-called alternative media. And in fact, what this essentially means is that alternative media in the United States, much of it is essentially state propaganda. So it's like what they say they are is not what they are, and this makes it absolutely obvious. I mean, it just does. So it's fascinating times, interesting development, and I wanted to talk about it with you. Again, if you want to know more about the real history of the Pentagon, the national security state, and the origins of them and the military-industrial complex, read my book, The War State, and I think you'll get a lot out of it.